The sweetness and bitterness of black stone. The land was rich with good people, a good climate, agricultural products, and so on. It was a prosperous land built through the dignity of labor. Somehow, black stone was discovered, a glistening mineral buried deep beneath the red earth of Yumuchika, a village once known for its golden maize fields and endless laughter. At first, the discovery brought celebration. The elders said the stone would bring wealth, progress, and recognition. Young men who once tilled the soil began digging day and night, and for a while, it seemed heaven had kissed the land. New houses sprang up like mushrooms after rain. Motorbikes replaced bicycles. Farmers who once carried baskets of yams now carried bundles of cash. The black stone, as they called it, was a blessing. But as time went on, its sweetness began to sour. With the black stone came strangers, men in tinted SUVs and dark glasses. They brought machines, promises, and money thicker than anyone had ever seen. Soon, the fields lay abandoned. The laughter of farmers was replaced by the rumble of trucks. Where songs of harvest once filled the air, the ground now trembled under the weight of greed. Schools began to empty. Boys who once dreamed of becoming engineers or doctors now dreamed of quick wealth. And among those boys was Chimali, a bright, curious 16-year-old, whose name meant, God has overcome. Chimali was the pride of his widowed mother, Mama Adaze. His father had died years before in a farm accident, leaving her to raise him alone. She sold vegetables at the market and prayed her son would rise above the struggles of their generation. But when the black stone came, everything changed. Chimali's friends mocked him for staying in school. Book no day pay again, they would say. Nah, black stone day change story now. At first, he ignored them until the new world began to dazzle him. He saw boys his age wearing gold chains, holding new phones, and riding motorbikes bought from the black stone's money. Soon, the temptation became too strong. One evening, he told his mother he was going to work at the site, just for a few weeks. She cried and begged, but poverty speaks louder than tears. At the mining site, the air was thick with dust and deceit. The men who controlled the operation cared for nothing but the stone, and the profit it brought. But Chimali was hard-working, quick to learn, and soon earned their trust. He began making money, more than he ever imagined. He bought new clothes, sent his mother some money, and promised to return to school, soon. The sweetness of the black stone had begun its song. But with wealth came corruption, and with corruption came violence. Rival groups began to fight over mining zones. The land that once echoed with songs of planting now groaned under gunfire. One night, Chimali and his friends were caught in the crossfire of two rival gangs who wanted control of the same pit. The young boy tried to run, clutching his small savings in his pocket, but a stray bullet found him before he could escape. He fell to the ground, his hands still stained with the dust of the black stone that had promised him a better life. When the news reached Mama Adaze, she ran barefoot to the site. She knelt beside his lifeless body, screaming, "You said you'd come back, my son. You said it was only for a while." The men stood around her in silence with shame, others with hardened faces, used to death. The black stone glittered nearby under the floodlights, cold and heartless. Chimali's death became one more tragedy in a growing list. Children were dropping out of school. Youths were dying in fights. The streams were polluted. Even the crops stopped growing as if the land itself was mourning. The elders called a meeting. The oldest among them, Papa Nadozi, stood up and spoke with trembling voice. The black stone came with sweetness, but it has fed us with bitterness. We have sold our souls for what shines in the dark. But it was too late. Those who had tasted the stone's wealth refused to let go. Politicians came with promises, companies came with contracts, and the people, blinded by greed and poverty, kept digging. Mama Adaze left Yumuchika not long after. She said she couldn't bear to see the pit where her son died. She went to the city to live with her sister, carrying only one photograph of Chimali, a smiling boy holding his schoolbook, his dreams still pure. Years later, the mine dried up. The strangers left, the machines rusted, and Yumuchika was left with poisoned soil and broken dreams. The black stone had brought both sweetness and bitterness, like honey laced with poison. Those who remained began to tell their children the story of the boy who died too young, the boy whose blood cried from the dust of the black stone. They would say, Greater than, greed is a pit that has no bottom. The sweetness of wealth without wisdom always ends in bitterness. And so, the story of Chimali became a warning not just for Yumuchika, but for every land blessed by God and cursed by human desire. The black stone represents the greed, corruption, and moral decay that can destroy a society once built on honesty and hard work. True prosperity does not come from what glitters in the ground, but from what grows in the heart, which is character, wisdom, and integrity.